Do you not think that the festival itself and their Royal Bloods promoters and managers and everyone needs to take some responsibility for that problem?
I do agree. I think the booking slot they'll put in was absolutely fucking horrendous. Righty. Welcome back. Welcome back to our Dreadful podcast. How are we feeling? Are you feeling well? As I feel tired.
I feel pretty fresh actually now. Yeah, had a coffee, been up, had a shower, all that sort of stuff. I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I'm working on my 4 shots of espresso at the minute. So
4 shots in there, is there?
yeah.
That's what happens when you're a platinum Jubilee member or whatever you are.
No, Christopher actually bought it for me,
Okay.
so he's not a platinum. He's not a platinum member, I'm afraid. But I do.
Platinum member.
The large ones have a 4 shots of standard.
Wow, that's quite a lot in it, really.
Yeah,
How many
It's Starbucks coffee, so it's quite low.
milligrammage?
I don't know. It will only be like, I think it's about 80 milligrams a shot. So
That's still then a lot.
Yeah.
320.
yeah, it's like a Red Bull and a half,
Mm.
give or take. It does me good. I only have one a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one coffee a day. I don't have any more coffee in the day.
Coffee.
No, I genuinely don't. I genuinely don't have any more coffee. I have one coffee a day, and then I'm like, I'm all right. It focus.
You see, it sounds like it really focuses your brain. It
focuses
allows
me
you to really be eloquent.
It does.
That's
It
what you're
focuses
saying.
me up in the mornings, and then like it slowly dwindles as we go into the afternoon. But
That's when you need another coffee.
yeah, but then the problem is if I then have another 4 shots of espresso.
You just don't have 2.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like you don't, there's no sort of legal
requirement
to
have
4. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You're not very good at things in moderation.
No, I'm not. I'm very all or nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hence why I quit drinking.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty bad for my health.
Pretty bad. Yeah. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm knackered, but I'm all right. I'm sound.
My mum always used to tell me off saying knackered.
Why?
I think it's quite a rude term.
Is it?
Yeah. Doesn't it mean sex or something?
Very, very.
I was going to say something else. I was going to ask, Elliott, why are you so knackered?
I am knackered because I don't sleep enough. No, I'm very tired because we went to Jamie T last night at Finsbury Park,
We did.
which I have to admit was arguably the best big gig that I've been to probably ever. I've been to obviously quite a few festivals and quite a few big gigs, and I don't really enjoy arena gigs, and I was expecting to have a very similar feeling with that, but it was very different vibes, and it was incredible.
It was so good.
So good.
Yeah.
I was very what's the term when you
Apprehensive.
no.
It's hard when you have no information.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you it, but you fucking cut me off. I was trying to say, what's the word when you initially have low expectations? Exceeded expectations. That's the fucking term I'm trying to go.
Okay.
Exceeded expectations. Didn't have low expectations, but I was like, right, it's going to be good. But
Yeah.
it's very big crowds. I don't like big crowds.
It was better than you thought.
Anyway, much better than I thought.
Long story short.
Long story short, yeah. And they bought the Maccabees.
Yeah, they did.
They
Yeah.
bring out the Maccabees toothpaste kisses.
Yeah. I love that song.
Love that
That's good band.
Best type of kiss.
Underrated band. You reckon?
Yeah, #1 kiss.
When they say toothpaste kisses, is that like you're still brushing your mouth full of toothpaste, or like a post-toothbrushing kiss?
Post-toothbrushing kiss.
Because
Best
that
thing
would
in the world.
be quite horrible if your like mouths are all full of toothpaste.
Like squirting in.
Yeah. Probably don't use that term though. No, not really. Not ideal.
Spit toothpaste in my mouth.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, they did, and I'll be honest. I'll echo your thoughts of exceeded expectations because JBT is one of my favorite artists of all time. But it's a lot of people, and it's a big stage. And like Trips, the first thing I think it was you that said it was like, "Oh, not even you. That's a big stage for one man."
Yeah.
Like I was a bit like, he is brilliant, and I thought he could do it. But yeah, you did look at it, and you were like, "Oh, is he going to quite be able to like carry that atmosphere for that many people?" And he really
did.
We were probably roughly in the middle, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit further back than the middle, and it certainly carried back to where we were. very well.
Absolutely. And then there must have been, I bet there must have been 50,000, 60,000 people there.
Yeah.
At least. And I'm very surprised that he sold. I have to admit, I am surprised he sold that many tickets.
Yeah.
For someone who's he's big, obviously got a #1 album, whatnot. Like, he's obviously a very, 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 very large in popularity.
I think weird way to say it, but we know what you mean.
Very popular.
I generally do think that Idols helped massively shift that many tickets.
Yeah, I do think Idols have a massive pull on that.
Blown away by how many people were in like Idols t-shirts. And
I think I do also think they have a lot more merch.
Yeah.
I think that is a thing. I think because Jamie T's about...
Also, Idols have not played many UK shows in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So any hardcore fans would have tried to go to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very good. I'm still not overly... No, I think it did work. Initially on the list, I didn't think it was going to work at all. I didn't think going from Idols into Jamie T was going to work at all, but they had a long enough, like half an hour, 45-minute gap between the sets, which allowed everyone to kind of calm down and it all simmer down a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, Idols are loose as fuck. I was impressed by Idols. I have to admit, I was impressed by Idols, like as a stage presence. But after nearly losing all of my belongings, I thought, I'm going to stand at the back and actually not.
Well, Trippy Bass just like, I'll look after your phone, and then just lobbed it into the nearest crowd.
Yeah, Truth essentially put it all in his bag, and then he came over to me and was like, my bag's broke, and I was like, shit, have you lost everything? Because I lose like my phone and everything else. I am like in the bin for like a week, just trying to get hold of a new one. So I stood at the back and watched, and because I don't know them, it wasn't as good then. But the vibe that they created, I was very impressed with.
Yeah, it's been a topic of conversation for us in the group because I've always been a bit of a they're certainly not a hater. I've always appreciated them, but always said they're not really for me. But to be fair, I've never really given them a proper go. So I knew that obviously we were seeing them. So all this week I've been listening to them like non-stop, all of their albums all the way through, and still wasn't convinced.
Nah.
Interestingly, the only album I said that I thought was decent, Trippy said is widely regarded as their worst album. So I think that kind of sums up the fact that I don't get it.
Group chat.
So, sorry?
On Reddit.
What?
On Reddit.
Where?
Reddit.
No. When?
I think you meant who, actually, is what you're trying to say.
I was going to say, when did I? I was trying to say where. Where did I ask?
Where did you ask?
I didn't.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, when I say widely, I mean literally Trippy told me that, so it could be absolute bollocks, to be fair. Most of what he said is, but yeah, I think that sums up the fact that maybe I don't quite get it. Like, if their worst album for their fans is one I like the most, it just kind of shows that I don't necessarily like their style, which is obviously fine, but I do appreciate how good they are, and I thought live it was quite the experience. They are unbelievably good live.
It carried really well, I have to admit. Frontman's really good. He's really he's quite interactive for a band of that sort of.
It really suits that moustache as well.
It's great. I really so many moustaches, and it really upset me.
You want one?
I really
seen one now, mate.
Yeah, I really want. Yeah, if you could, I just can't grow one. I can't grow any facial hair. This is as far as I'll ever.
Have you like tensed?
Yeah. I've used all the rollers, and no, I haven't. I've not even attempted, but I'd like to. I would really like a moustache. Every now and then, I'll be like, right, I'll give it a crack. I'll give it a spin, and I'll leave
just so fair
a little bit. It's just so blonde.
Yeah, blonde moustaches.
There was a lad at school that. Can you remember the lad at school that had the blonde beard? It was like bleach blonde. It was like a bleach blonde beard.
No, just can't say.
It was like no, I can't say his name. I mean, I can, but I don't really want
email it to me.
It was.
You could just see.
You could say it.
You just say his older brother.
Oh,
I don't fucking know his actual name, but like he's older.
He must have won.
he did have a blonde beard.
He had a blonde beard that was like bleach blonde, but he was still thicker than mine because my like bottom half of my chin is like
half of your chin,
like actually like black hair, and then my upper lip is just like blonde.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Like a badger.
Yeah, like a badger. Hey,
weird that.
Yeah, runs in the family.
Anywho, yes, I thought they were very good, and again, like big crowd. And a lot of people obviously there for Jamie T. So they could get into a little bit of a headspace of like, this isn't our crowd. Like, don't know how it's going to go down and stuff. But they were just like 100% fucking went for it. And that's always the best way, I think.
And I thought there was the right amount of like arrogance. Like, there's a lot of bands of that nature, of heavier side of the spectrum that do have like an arrogance about them and a real like pricky nature. Like, for example, Raw Blood.
No.
Raw Blood were like they're just wankers in that respect sometimes, and they were, especially at that Radio 1 big weekend.
Yeah,
I was kind of because I'm a massive fan of Royal Blood. I do really like their music, but I was actually quite not distraught. Distraught's such a
distraught. Just wailing in your bedroom.
I was quite upset. I thought their sentiment they left with just was such a downbeat, and I was quite impressed that Idols managed to keep hold of being in the crowd that's not built for them, be able to hold just a real elegance about them.
Yeah,
for the type of music they play,
and it definitely did help that there was a lot of people that were there for them.
Yeah,
and a lot of people that clearly, I mean, Trippy's mate in the wrestling mask that was smacking his belly for him is clearly there because he wanted to see Idols. You know what I mean? Like,
sexual thing.
Yeah. No, I don't know why he did bring so many wrestling masks. Pretty odd.
Yeah, it was either that or the gimp mask. You had to decide when he was at home. He was like, no, wrestling mask, gimp.
I also think when we upload this podcast, I'm going to have to re-upload that video of you on the train on the way home.
For
so that if you're listening to this, it'll be on our Instagram, because that is...
So many people follow your account. On the official podcast account.
We've got Twitter as well, really.
Does need to go on Twitter.
And TikTok. We could just post that. Just no caption or anything.
Yeah. Just POV when she keeps... when she licks your toes.
Yeah, there's some great footage of Trippy. There's 3-siders and he's absolutely gone on the train.
Bastard.
No, yeah, I was heavily impressed with Idols, but I've given them their fair go now.
Yeah.
Enjoyed them live. Probably never listen to them again.
Yeah, I agree. I was very impressed with them live. Never really... I've given odd bits and bobs a go in like recorded version.
Recording. Strawberry and lime. That's Copperberg.
I'll give them a crack every now and then. But I just thought there was a couple of points where I was like, ooh, is that time?
You're just an old man.
Just an old boy. Like I feel like there is a point where I was like, I love the atmosphere, but because I had to stand at the back because I didn't want to like lose my possessions.
You could have just put your phone in your pocket. Like
no, but I was too worried about it. I have to admit, I was too worried about losing everything.
It's just a little check every now and again, isn't it?
Yeah, but I feel like if my phone had gone, I'd have been so angry, and then it would have been ruined. I would have ruined Jamie T for me. I would have been really upset. So I'd like made the educated decision. And
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, they're very good.
Back to Royal Blood.
Yeah.
Do you not think that the festival itself and their Royal Blood's promoters and managers and everyone needs to take some responsibility for that problem?
I do agree, 100%. I do agree. I think the booking slot they'll put in was absolutely fucking horrendous.
Dreadful.
I think it was awful. Like, you don't sandwich them in between Niall Horan and Lewis Capaldi. I think that's just such a fucking stupid place for Royal Blood to be. And I also think if you know the slot you're going to play, you know the atmosphere isn't going to be what you want. So you've got to just kind of live with it. Whereas, like, I feel like they just were expecting something crazy because they're played on Radio 1 quite a lot. And I'm assuming that's why the slot was put where they were, because they've just got such a big Radio 1, like, audience, maybe. Like, a Radio 1, like, hosts, the actual DJs fucking love them. So, like, I think they expected there to be a little bit of a better reception. But in the grand scale of it, I don't know what they were assuming, because if you wanted to see Niall Horan, you're going to want to see Lewis Capaldi, and everyone will have been at that main stage for Niall Horan for the whole day.
Yeah.
Just to try and get there and make sure they're at that point to watch the whole thing and at the good level at the front and whatnot. Whereas, like, their normal audience probably had been putting around somewhere else and, you know, had gone to the back. But to be really truthful, Radio 1 Big Weekend isn't that audience they were expecting.
No, it's a very poppy across the whole festival.
The whole festival is normally incredibly poppy, so I just think it's a little bit of a... They were obviously overestimating what they were going to receive when they jumped on stage, and it pissed them off. And I warranted to be pissed off about it, but also I think you've got to just be professional in that atmosphere.
It's a shame because they just went too far, because I think originally, like, some of the quotes are quite funny. And I think a lot of the, like, sarcastic clapping they were doing when he was like, it's either Soundman's clapping, just no one else.
The quote was, I guess we should introduce ourselves, seeing as no one actually knows who we are. It says, we're called Royal Blood and this is rock music. Who likes rock music? And after getting not much reception, he goes, 9 people. Brilliant.
See, I don't mind that. Like, he's kind of ripping into the situation. It's a little bit self-deprecating as much as it is attacking the crowd. It's a bit of like, you don't know who we are, brilliant, like, fucking out. But I think if you then just dove into your set.
Yeah.
And smashed it out, and then was like, right, yeah, look, you might not know who we are, but hopefully you enjoyed that. That would have been funny. I think then they crossed over that line when they just clearly then like looked miserable, put no effort into the set, walked off early, swearing at the crowd. It's like you've just gone too far of it. I think reference it, take the piss a bit, say the sound guy's the only guy clapping. Like that's quite amusing, but then put on a good show. And even at the level of Royal Blood, you could convert, if you converted 1% of those people in front of you, then that's a hell of a lot of people that might come and see you again.
Yeah.
Like, it is a big opportunity, even for a band of that size, to go, here's an audience that's not yours, go and fucking blow them away, so they go, shit, yeah, actually, like...
But it'd been better putting on a band that were going to be a little bit more down, like a little bit more tailored for that sort of audience to some respect, like a Tom A. Smith or someone that had fit in that gap. That's maybe a little bit more on the rockier side in comparison to the two, but like could actually turn people. Whereas I feel like they went way too far on trying to be diverse with a lineup in a sense of music wise. And I think what they had to remember when they were getting on stage is that they're at Radio 1 Big Weekend, like. Radio 1 Big Weekend is going to be people that listen to Radio 1. Yeah. And that is going to be the receptionists, the people that are sat there that have Radio 1 on all day are going to be the people that are listening and that are in front of you.
100,000 receptionists.
Right. Receptionists just like taking calls. But I don't listen to Radio 1 at all. So I didn't even really know what was going on. And I do like Lewis's Capaldi stuff and things.
Lewis's Capaldi. Yeah.
Yeah. He should come out with something that's a Capaldi. I just think it was a oversight from the undersight, oversight,
undersight,
oversight
from
the promoters.
Yeah, it's an oversight. Yeah,
they just really didn't think it through. So,
but that's mental. Like, again, having put on a festival ourselves, like it takes 20 minutes in the pub to sit down and go, right, if I'm a punter, and I'm starting here, what progresses best on that stage? What styles of music work with each other? Where the clashes are going to work and stuff. For a festival that big, I can't believe nobody got in a room and didn't go, do you not think we should, even if they move Royal Blood last, and we're like, let's go poppy, and then let's just end with it. And if people want to fuck off early, then great. But then at least there's some people that might stay. Or put them before, and like, surely someone thought that through. So I do think they definitely deserve all the criticism they get for the way they behaved, and they were massive wankers, and it's a bit of a shame. But yeah, I do definitely think the promoters and the organisers of that have got to take some responsibility there, because it's bad.
Yeah, and I think especially like when you're saying that, like I think there is an element of that where the corporate nature of these bigger events do come into it. It's like you look at the Reading and Leeds lineup now, and the headliners for that pretty fucking bang average.
Yeah, I thought it was very average.
And I think it is just like they look at so much more than the music, and they look at like the clickbait, they look at like the like actual follow through of how much talk it's going to get of putting something a little bit more absurd on the list and things like that, and all that aspect that people look into, and they just purely base it on ticket sales, which I think it loses the reason that you have a festival. Like, it loses the reason of showing off bands that are incredible for everyone to have a good time, to being like, these are the 3 most played artists on Radio 1 at the moment. Let's all put them in the list.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the lack of foresight comes from, that you just think these people now are just here being like, right, Radio 1 are going to do an event. It's probably not anyone at Radio 1 that organises it. It's not a BBC team. I'd be surprised if it was. It'd be a promoter subcontractor that would probably put it on, and they're doing, we're doing Radio 1. Let's just smash people in. Like, I'd love to have like the logistics element in our business to be able to like be like, all right, okay, Radio 1 want a festival. Let's have a crack and see what we can do. Because I could almost promise that we'd be able to, if you got given the network with the managers of these people, I think you could probably organise a much better lineup.
Budget, God, that'd be fun.
So much fun. Like, I think that's the thing. I think there's a bit where the excitement gets lost when a company gets so big, and I think that is, we're obviously not at that point, so we still have that buzz of when we're trying to book something. Like, if we were going to book another festival,
we won't.
Then like we had that buzz of being like building the lineups, and that buzz of being like, right, we sit round for hours and be like, stages, how are we going to work this? We don't want this band to clash with this band because there's multiple people that will be fans of both, and we need to make sure that people can get from one stage to another because they're two very similar genres, or however it works. And in a lineup, we're so tailoring it to bringing local people in to build the stage up to start with when you open up, and build it up to a big crescendo at the end. Whereas like, thank you. And I feel like when they do corporate festivals now are very much like they just don't quite understand. Like prime example was, I'm going to go into example, but prime example, I might have a fridge actually, if you want one. Lemon and lime. Prime example is Glastonbury with example. They had to shut the set down because there was way too many people there, like 4 times the amount of people tried to go see him. What person who's put him on that stage at that time assumed that the stage would fit him? That's the bit that confuses me. Like, we did it, and Migos we went to see Winter Wireless years and years and years ago after Migos released Bad and Bougie, and they put them in the tent at like 4 in the afternoon. And in my head, as a promoter, I know the stage times are pretty set beforehand, but if they start getting songs like Bad and Bougie that are popping off and they're working with so many other artists on collaboration projects and things like that, you know they're going to be huge. Promoters do just have a little bit of a lack of foresight with things, I think, and don't want to... Yeah, Bruce, hold on. Got glad to see you. Oh, is it good to see you?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. See you. Nice. That's
good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I do think that actually Glastonbury, although that is a good example, tend to be one of the better ones, but because they sell out no matter what they do. So they do have that freedom to go, Joe, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, obviously they need to keep putting on a good show, keep wanting people to come back. But they have created such a perfect product where it is that cliche of like, pick 2 people you want to see, and other than that, don't worry, just take in new artists and the atmosphere and feeling of the place. And that actually you can invest more in the kind of the atmosphere and feel that you're trying to achieve, that the people playing don't really matter.
No.
And I don't love Elton John, but I'd have probably quite enjoyed that set, and just put people on that are going to put on a good fucking show, and not necessarily going to be your first choice. There would be some people's, but even Guns N' Roses, I know they're a bit shit, but it's just a good vibe. It's just cool to see them. They're just like, I think it's better choices to just go. It's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
It's something that you're going to enjoy and you're going to remember. It's not, just Billie Eilish and Sam Fender and people who are just doing all the rounds and they're popular at the moment, but it's just a little bit dull. And I think Glastonbury does have that freedom from headliner all the way down to then go and see like fucking anyone that you want to see. You might not have heard of them, but they're pretty decent.
They have that icon like stature. Like they have a whole thing where like icons have to play Glastonbury or else they're not in the list. If they're not headline Glastonbury, they're not a best artist ever. Like they can't be in that conversation if you're not headline Glastonbury. And I think that's what makes it so exciting for people. Like Elton John can bring out Paul McCartney and it fits every person in that crowd. No matter who you are, they want to see them because it's just a bucket list thing. And I think the reason that Glastonbury works, like yes, there will be elements like example, and you can't necessarily plan and prep for everything. I think example is one of them ones where you go, the man, he is for the genre that he's in, he is a iconic person, and I don't think you can see past that just to stick him on midday and just assume that people are going to go watch other people.
Yeah.
But I think there is a point where Glastonbury do nail it on the head because they've been going so long and they've got such a history of iconic performances, and it's such a big thing. They do get the pick of the lot. I know other festivals don't necessarily get that, and they obviously have to run it like a business and run it for clicks, and the headlines have to make sure they're having clicks and whatnot. But it does really annoy me when festival lineups come out and it is the same 3 headliners at 75% of the festival. That is like, Sam Fender, fair play to the boy, but he seems to be playing a lot of festivals, doing the rounds, Billie Eilish again, she always flutters her head in over here, and again, fair play to her. I'm a massive fan of her music, and I think she's incredible in everything she's done, but there is a point where, as a promoter, like when you're putting on a gig round here, and around the country, just a smaller gig, there is a whole status of if you play in the area within a month before or a month after, people normally won't book them. We're very much like, we don't really give too much of a toss about it. But there is that, because of the events that we put on, but there is that thing of like, if the week before your headliner was already playing in the same city, you're not going to book them. And I think with festivals, there's an element of that seems to be encroaching in when people are like almost, they're still selling out, but some of them are taking a little bit longer to sell out than what they used to, because the headliners are the same at Truck, they're the same at Tramlines, they're the same at Kendall, they're the same wherever. And I think that's a problem that we're going to keep seeing, is that the radio shows are still only supporting the same people pretty much. There isn't a lot of new stuff coming through and being played massively on radio, so the headliners have to be the same people across these festivals to get the same buzz around it. And they're the people that are taking bookings for the summer, because some people obviously take it off. And I think that's where it becomes a little bit like everything's kind of merging into one. And it's I think it's going to be a trouble that we're going to have over the next few years if there isn't a bit of enough to happen.
Yeah, a little bit of that as well. Is like, traditionally, all the festivals like in the UK would be for different genres.
Yeah.
And like, you would go to your festival, and Part Life would mainly be like rap and hip hop, and
tech.
Reading and Leeds would be like mainly your more like heavier punk rock type grungy stuff, and they all kind of have this history. And I think all of them are now kind of going, obviously it's easy to sell if you don't do it like that. So they're all like Reading and Leeds are going to have Central C, Billie Eilish and Sam Fender, and trying to please everyone. And I think naturally when you try and do that, they are all going to merge into one kind of thing, rather than it being, right, we know what type of music we're going to get at Reading and Leeds, and you're going to really impress for that group of people. It's more just like, there will be someone that everyone likes at some point, which is obviously good to an extent, but when every festival does that, it does start to become a bit like, fucking hell.
I think it's also become a bit more now, like there used to be a festival season. But like everyone used to go, like as a punter, people used to go to 3 festivals, 2 festivals sort of thing throughout the thing. But now, unless you're in the music industry, you don't really go to more than one. And now I have a feeling, unless you do like Creamfields and another one, because Creamfields is still very tech and very EDM based. So it's like, there's that like line there, but it seems to be that not many people do hit multiple festivals because the lineups are so similar.
But like for us, like we're doing Truck and Kendall, but we're only going to Truck because we've been invited to go again. And otherwise, there'd be no point in us going to Truck and Kendall.
No,
because they are virtually the same festival, but in different places. And obviously, there's some like nuances to it, but essentially, it's the same thing. And that's, yes, it's fine. But yeah, but then again, they all sell out.
Yeah,
but I say, as longevity wise, it'd be interesting. I
think it feels like there is a lot of things in the music industry at the minute that we're seeing, obviously being like very, very small fish in
the fee.
Yeah. We're a very small fish in a very, 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 very big pond. But we see it with such a. We come in with these like fresh eyes and we're seeing everything, and I feel like we're still like not blinded by the cash and things like that a lot of people do get to if they've been in the industry for quite a long while. And I think that's something that's quite an interesting perspective, because I feel like promoters and promoting companies have all been a very similar band of people for quite a long while.
I've got a question for you.
Go on.
I feel like we've both got a bit husky, so I've got a question for you. Let's take Reading and Leeds for example.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish and Sam Fender. I'd say Billie Eilish is more of a global superstar.
Agreed.
Sam Fender is arguably the biggest indie artist in the UK right now.
Yeah.
At that festival, who do you think is actually more popular? Like, who is the bigger artist then?
Who has the bigger draw?
Yeah, at that festival.
I would argue Billie Eilish should have the bigger draw. Just for ticket sales alone. I think Billie Eilish should have the better draw, but I think Sam Fender would have a better crowd.
Yeah.
They're very... the Sam Fender fans are a bit of a clan. They're a bit of a cult following that really get into it, whereas Billie Eilish is much wider known, and there is some very good songs that a lot of people do know, but they don't know necessarily her whole discography.
I think in the UK as well, it can be a bit like, as you say, it is a very small pond globally, and so you think like here, Sam Fender's just the absolute bollocks, but like elsewhere it's just not known, and you forget how someone like Billie Eilish is global superstar.
Global
Like will be known
superstar.
everywhere. Like that's actually pretty crazy to see her
Yeah.
at that festival. Like I say, she's not necessarily always here. Like she's obviously done Glastonbury before. Like it's not really my sort of music, but it's quite cool that she's playing. But I would still rather go see Sam Fender because it will be like chaos here. But you forget how big these like global superstars are in comparison to the UK stars.
Absolutely, and I think a prime example when you look at festival lineups and you look at like places like Coachella, for example. Coachella is based around global superstars. Like they have their lineups are unparalleled normally, and you look at the lineups in comparison of like popularity of artists. And like sheerly based on numbers and whatnot. And I think it looks like, but the atmosphere of them shows are so different than when you come to like something that's a little bit more cult classic-y. Like Jamie T last night, prime example, the fans are so culty. They're so cult, like everyone knows every lyric to every fucking song. No one just goes there being like, oh, I want to see Jamie T because I like Sticks and Stones.
Zombie,
Yeah, do you know what I mean? No one will go and do that. If they listen to one track, they know 80% of the songs. And I think that's something that only really happens with like that cult style, and to the people in that, the band seem the biggest person in the world. Whereas when you look worldwide, like yes, numbers can potentially look like they're inflated when the artist is American because just sheerly based on popularity of people, but I think it still holds weight that them numbers can be translated around the world. And that's when you look at global superstars compared to here. And here, Sam Fender can go and fucking sit in a stadium and, you know, cough in a mic and every man and their dog would be there and think it's great. But if he goes to Japan and plays a show in Tokyo, he might only sell a 2,000 cap room.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you look at a Billie Eilish, who's an international superstar, could go play a stadium in any fucking country.
Yeah.
And she'd be able to sell out or at least get to 80 cap in any stadium around the world.
And it's always been the way. Like even Oasis tried so hard to break America, and they did have success. Like they were known, but they never quite like hit those levels of like global superstardom. And you kind of forget that because here they're just everything.
It's really weird, actually, that there is such cult classics of artists in different parts of the world, and like some are breaking, like K-pop's really breaking over here now with BTS and a few of the other like Blackpink and things like that are all like starting to break the mainstream, like worldwide, internationally known. But fascinating story that I don't think you know.
Ooh.
But there is a lad that's a family friend. It's one of my sister's best mate's brother. So, like, a family friend. They've been. She played at a few of like their mates' weddings and whatnot. He's a like cover band here. Like he literally goes round to pubs and will play covers around here. In Korea, he's a Korean known artist, so he can go to Korea and be selling like 10k cap rooms.
God.
And he'll play in Korea. We'll go to Korea for like 2 months.
What? How?
I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I was chatting to his sister and my family and that about it all because they were booking it. They were going to book him for an event round here, and he's a very reasonably priced cover band for round here for the quality that he is. He's really top, 50k to go play the cricket club, and but he's really, really like, he's known in the scene, but in the same way that like everyone's starting to catch wind of Elliott, because if anyone asked me for a band, I'd like book Elliott. It'd be cheap as chips, and also we'll fucking put on an incredible show. But he's a very similar vibe of pubs and people love him around here, but he's not playing on the radio, he's not playing whatever, but in Korea, he like would get stopped in the streets.
That's insane.
Such a weird
How has that
thing.
happened? Just through
Spotify and just like natural like algorithms are pushed in that direction and things like that. But then also him going out and taking a bit of a punt and playing a few shows out there, and his name's getting spreading because the community is so small in indie music out in Korea.
It does happen. Like it's like Sherlock's. They've got an enormous following in Japan.
Yeah.
Randomly, like almost bigger there than they are here. And same like DMAs are an Australian band, but they're by far bigger in the UK than in Australia. Like it's interesting that certain cultures can just go like, yeah, we like that. And
Just pick it up.
Become huge in that country.
It becomes
Weird.
culture wide and like almost like cult classics here, like Jamie T, that are small in the grand scale of people. Like, Jamie T goes and plays in Amsterdam, he's not going to get a big crowd. Like, it's very interesting that then like the Dutch then will pick someone up randomly from here, like the Reels or Second Thoughts or someone like that, will just suddenly go to like Germany, and it'll play. We interviewed a band that lived in Germany, Cassia. Was it Cassia?
Lived in Germany.
Lived in Germany, and then they became quite large in Germany.
I think you're right. I think it was Cassia.
And it's the same thing of like, here, Cassia, great band still a known band, but most of their demographic and their demo is all based in a European country that just love their fucking music.
It's weird, isn't it?
The same with like the Killers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because they are obviously massive in the UK. Mr. Brightside's like a UK classic, but they're American.
Yeah.
So many people think they're British.
British.
They're so bigger here than they are in America.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? It's so, and I love that conversation. I love seeing. It's like when we get some of the Spotify stats come through for us, and it's like you were number one in the UAE.
Yeah.
Why are we number one?
It's Brazil. We get
shitloads of
top of the charts in Brazil all the time.
top of music charts in Brazil.
Shout out to anyone listening to this from Brazil.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up Rio de Janeiro.
I've been looking actually, and we big up Rio de Janeiro. We've ticked off a lot of countries. I'd love to have at least one listener from every country.
Yeah.
Before we ever stop this podcast.
Yeah,
How many countries are there?
I was gonna say 52.
I was gonna say 200. I was gonna say 206. I think that's bonus.
No, it's 200. No, I think it's 292. Someone check
You've
that.
got access to a laptop.
Someone check that. 292 is my guess, Joe.
I'm gonna go lower. 291.
200. No. We can't play that game. No. Pick a number.
Okay, 206. I'll stick with 206.
Chris.
184.
The answer is 195.
Wow.
What did you say? 194.
Wow.
I mean, technically it's 193.
What's the technicality?
Who are you saying doesn't count as a country? Is there a Pluto?
There's 193 member states of the United Nations and 2 countries that are non-member observer states, the Holy See and the State of Palestine. So that's a debate we probably won't have on this podcast.
So you don't recognise
Not gonna get
No, Trippy, just confirm you don't recognise Palestine.
I'm reading the facts.
Okay. Swiftly moving on.
Yeah, anyway, we've got well over 100.
Yeah, well over 100.
So if we can push, we'll get a list of the ones we haven't got, and we'll publicise it. And everyone needs to either go to that country and listen to our podcast, or find a mate there.
Tell you what I think would be really interesting.
What?
I've been using AI, right, to edit some of this podcast, right? So the audio that you're listening to has been edited all by AI. Right?
It's been edited.
Yeah, it's been edited by AI. It's terrible. No, the audio you're listening to is purely AI edited. The videos aren't. I tried to, but we don't quite have the setup to make that work, which I'm gonna try. We're gonna try and wangle a way to figure out to have it edited by AI. But I think what it'll be really interesting is there's a lot of AI translation things that'd be really interesting to see if we translated our podcast to like a random country.
He said random so weird.
I know, but
sorry, mate. I'm really trying to let you keep in your flow. Yeah.
If we translated it to like Mr. Beast is doing with the top 5 biggest languages.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting if we translated ours, because we're in such a niche field.
Spanish.
To like Spanish or German, or like something that has a element of indie music within their culture, but it's not very big at all. Whether we could like actually build a proper audience in that place just through a different just through translating our podcast in a different language.
Would be interesting.
I'd be interested to see that. Might have to look. I'll do a little bit of research if we can.
Have a dibble dabble.
Have a little dibble dabble and start another one being like.
That'd be cool if our podcast was just enormous in like a
Germany. No, just huge. We sell literally all
do live shows and there's like 10,000 people around.
All of our sponsorships are just like German beers.
Germany famous for its big indie scene.
Oh, little crybaby behind the mic.
Yeah, I mean,
fair,
they have quite a large indie scene.
They get good crowds.
They do get really.
Everyone who plays there says that they don't. Says that they don't
crowds, the
like
crowds.
They don't know who they are, but they go and they really listen.
Well, I saw Fabian when I was in Germany, and it was meant to be it was in Cologne, like Ewerk, I think the venue was, like some disused warehouse, and it had to be downgraded to a venue half the size. It was already a small venue. And when we got there, the room was still like half empty. There was like no one there. And it was about a month before they sold out Ali Pali.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh, we're guessing.
But again,
like a shit about this.
Another band might
do quite well.
They
say like there's a lot of people that say when they go over there and play Germany, Denmark, and where's it?
Netherlands.
That's it. And they always say that when they go, even as a small band, there is like a real small community that into band music and guitar music, and they are all just bang up for whoever's stuck in front of them. And I think I would be interested to see if we could change the language into Dutch to see if we could actually get a little bit of a movement out there.
You could learn Dutch and then just do it in Dutch and then translate it back to English.
I've tried learning so many languages and it just doesn't stick. I can't do it.
I'd start with maybe just trying to learn one.
And my English is all right. Not great,
No,
but
not even what I meant. One at a time. Duolingo, man, it's quite good.
Yeah, I've tried French for a little while and couldn't catch on with it. Obviously, did German in school and then tried to pick it up again and just couldn't get into it. I just can't. It's just such a dedication to learn them. And
I don't have the relevant brain, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I don't
get
either.
It at all.
No, I'd like to learn French. I think French would be quite nice to learn.
It would be
the language.
I mean, the only really way for it to happen, especially at our age now, is to live there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so hard to actually learn
a language
academically.
Yeah.
You've got to try and get a base level so you know some words and then just fucking live there for 6 months and then you'll pick it up. But you probably won't.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Did you get your Spotify Wrap last week?
It wasn't your Spotify Wrap, but
your Spotify mid.
I've got a few stats from the 6 months.
Go on. What were you looking like? Because mine was
Mine
was arguably one of the strangest set of stats I've ever received for my music listening.
I think again yours and we'll go through it just shows that you can't do anything in moderation and that as soon as you've liked something it has to be absolutely all or nothing. Hammered the same shit over again.
This year, Jaden, JXDN, he's a social media guy who does pop music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ashamed to admit that I've played his album 245 times this year.
That is an unbearably high number.
My second one is Machine Gun Kelly's first album, and it's 80 times.
It's mad that we have had this podcast for so long and we're just realising now how bad your music taste really is.
No, I'm good. Look, right. The problem that I'm having, right, is we've had this discussion a couple of times, like off air, not air. Welcome to the air.
It's a weird pilot.
Yeah. Bane flying funny. I was born in the clouds.
That's really good.
Thank you. I've been practicing on that.
Weird.
But yeah, we've been having this discussion off air, and I grew up listening to Avril Lavigne, Kelly Clarkson, Blink 182. They were the songs that really shaped my childhood. Like on the weekend, I used to go with my old man and watch him play cricket when I was like 6, 7, 8, whatever, all the way up to probably like 10, 11. And I used to go off with him, and that'd be not get off with him. I used to go off and watch these games, and everything in the van was always around like Good Charlotte as well, and that type of music. And I feel like I strayed from that type of stuff for so long, and now it's starting to have a little bit of a revival anyway in the space that I'm getting really into it, and it's really upsetting. The one that I can understand you thinking is absolutely terrible fucking music choices is the 1,500 hours I've put into Morgan Wallen's.
Oh God, that honestly, if this podcast ends soon, that will be why. Because it's not really appropriate for you to sit there and talk about music when you've put over 1,000 hours into a man thinking about drinking whiskey by the fire.
Drinking whiskey by the fire.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, I know, but it's
bad.
As it's shown, I'm obsessive in nature, just as a person. You know, psychologist, diagnose me if you want, but
I have done.
All of them, everything. Yeah, it's always quite funny that my actual name, if you put because everything that I've been diagnosed with is all letters. It'd be funny if I was like Elliott James Farrer, OCD, ADHD, BA.
Yeah.
I'm bad luck. Yeah, work for BA. Own it. Just bought it. New investment. That'd be really
good luck.
Yeah, thanks, man. But yeah, so what are we talking about?
Country music.
Yeah, I'll put 1,500 hours into Morgan Wallen's, and I've only been listening to him for 2 months.
So many It's
2 months.
It's the same
If that.
shit as well. Over and over again.
I'm sorry.
It's one haircut. Look at you in a cap and a fucking Illinois sweater.
Cool.
For fuck's sake.
This is cool.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, your whole personality is going down the route.
You didn't play golf until this year. Look at you. You're out here being like, oh, golf everything.
Even as one jumper, you've got a hat, the haircut, and the jumpers all going into the same personality and your music taste.
1,500 hours.
It's a concern, mate. We're just worried about you.
I don't want to tell you what I've been listening to this week.
Oh, no. I don't think you should.
We don't want to hear it either. Should we do the draft?
Oh, yeah. Don't want to hear about my music.
I was going to say, it was his Spotify rap trip.
Yeah, but...
Fuck you.
I did mine actually changed since the other day.
Okay.
But it's still relatively similar. Obviously, it can't change that much. But let's do my top 10 artists the last 6 months.
Okay.
See how many you can get.
Oh, Geshem. Your top 10 artists. So I'm going with Royston Club.
Correct. Third.
DMAs.
First.
DMA. Tina's.
Fourth.
You've been buying off the reels a little bit.
Yeah, I have been a little bit. They're not in there.
Not in the top 10.
It's really not bad. Yeah,
quite a lot of them.
29th actually, but
oh, okay. Cove sets. It's normally up there. Normally in the mix.
Again, normally is, but they're not up there at the moment.
Okay. Jamie T.
No.
Wow.
Again, surprising. I'd have thought you would be.
Any idols? You've been doing that. You've been doing a little.
Idols
bit of
are
research on
7th, which is quite impressive considering it's been about 5 days since I started listening to them. So,
Interesting.
the Idols are in there.
Snuck their way in.
The second is Latham's, which is always one that just sneaks. I think for now, like 4 years,
Always
been in my
your
top 10.
Yeah.
The whole time, like since I listened to their first song, they've never left, which is pretty unbelievable. Pretty rogue one in 5th of the Sherlocks. Again, not surprising. I think they did release their album and it was pretty good. I did listen to a fair amount of it, but they're in 5th.
Would not have got that.
Noel Gallagher's in 6th. No, again, just releasing a new album, so it's not the most amazing thing in the world, but I've been listening to it a fair amount. Then Idols, then Rayton's, Rolling Thunder, and The Hara.
No, that's not bad.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's a little bit of a mix in there.
There is a
actually.
mix.
The
There is
horror in there is something that I was not anticipating.
Yeah, really enjoying some of their new stuff, which is surprising. Rolling Thunder sneaking in there.
Yeah,
And they just always
they're always creepy.
little bastards.
Always,
Just
tell you what, like wherever you
sneaking.
bloody go, they're there.
they are one of them
Everywhere.
pops up.
We're always somewhere that we are. I feel like I poke my nose into a pub and they'll be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
doing it."
It was literally bumped into them in a pub at the driving range at like 6 places in the last month. Just like they're always there. Listen, and they're in my top 10. There you go. A little bit of a range, I think.
Yeah,
Not,
mine's not.
which is normally mine isn't like it's whoever like the 6 months before would have just been Jamie T. Because all I listened to was that new album for 6 months. But this year so far, nothing's come out that's been like I've been obsessed with. So it has sort of broadened my range a little bit, I think.
Mine is still Machine Gun Kelly, Girlfriends, Jaden. Like my top 5 albums. I mean, like Jaden's album, Machine Gun Kelly, Girlfriends, the self-titled one, and I think Little Huddy's popped his little nose in there. Which is, working in the social media space, you do kind of end up.
Do you work in social media sphere?
No, I don't. I'd want to. I really want to.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It'd be good for me. I think.
Yeah.
I seem to know my shit.
Yeah, no one will want you.
No. I couldn't name anyone that want me to help them out with their YouTube.
Should we do the draft?
Right, draft of the week.
We need some real jingles. You're musically talented. Write some jingles.
I'll make you a jingle.
Will you? We need a draft of the week and we need an artist of the week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
so I'll have it for next weekend.
Wow.
Guy's good, isn't
Yeah,
he? Yeah.
yeah, Jet.
You might not like them.
Oh my god.
Oh, there you go.
It's just Idols.
Yeah.
Send me that. Can you send me doing that as a clip? Or use
I mean, looking at the mic, the clip,
Oh, that sound wave.
not work.
Good. When your sound wave looks like a loaf of bread, it's never good. Good. What's this week's draft, Elliot?
Artist of the week.
No.
It's not. Stop writing it down.
cut that out. Cut that bit out. That actually was out.
I'm not written down. I've just got draft.
Yeah, but it's
And then the next page. Oh no, it is. No, actually, it's further down the list. Sorry. The draft this week is artists that begin with S.
Begin with S. Explain the draft to anyone who didn't listen to last week, Elliot.
So we're going to draft indie/alternative music artists that begin with the letter S, and we both get 5 picks, and we're going to go up against each other. It's almost like an NBA draft, or like how the Americans do their like sporting system. But we get to pick 5 people, and then we put our teams against each other to see who'll win.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the 5 best. It's more like you can argue the reason why they're in your team, sort of thing, like it's a real team. You went first last week. You did on rock, paper, scissors, and you won. And as per a normal draft, the loser then gets to pick first.
Yes.
So the baton has been passed to myself.
It has, to see if you can carry it as well as I did.
Now, I had a quick start with this, and then I had a lull, and then I found loads more. And I'm actually really struggling to pick
A first
pick. Like, what am I taking off you that is, a really, really strong pick? But I think I've got to go for the Smiths.
That was going to be my first pick. Very, 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 very good choice.
They're just one of the best bands of all time.
Iconic, one of the best bands of all time. As much as Morrissey's a wanker,
Yeah.
The Smiths as a band, as a collective, were
One of the
incredible.
best vocalists and lyricists ever. One of the best guitarists ever. You just
Can't go wrong.
can't go wrong. Complete band.
So I'm going to go the complete other end of the spectrum to the Smiths and try and nail in a real icon to start the round.
Oops.
And I'm going to go with Sex Pistols.
I've got them further down. That is
Sex
another
Pistols.
good choice. Change music.
Sorry?
They changed music. Sex Pistols.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Why was that a hard concept?
I thought you said change your music, and I was like, I've been one of the most old fucking bands ever to walk on the planet.
They changed the music.
They did change music. They changed the whole industry, and punk was shaped around Sex Pistols. And I think they can't not be in the list.
Yeah, I like it. It's another strong pick. I think on a similar vein of a band that have had so much influence on so much good music since, as well as being a top band themselves, and that's the Stone Roses.
Okay, another one of my picks. Another very good pick, Joe.
Yeah, I just think, again, just influenced everyone, and all of Britpop sort of stems from Stone Roses.
The Paisley Boys.
Debut album is probably in my top 5 albums of all time. I just think it's so fucking good. A shame they didn't release more music, really.
Yeah.
That's the only criticism for them. Second album wasn't as good and whatever, but yeah, in terms of their peak, I don't think there's much better.
No, of course not. I'm going to go for something that's a little bit more of a newer in what we've been discussing so far, but actually just as iconic in the early 2000s indie music space. So I'm going to go for the Strokes.
Oh, that's my next one.
I'm going to go for the Strokes.
Yeah,
the Strokes
Strokes are a
are
great pick.
just such a class indie music band that really shaped that early 2000s, mid 2000s indie music stint. The Strokes were just there and one of the big hitters the whole way through.
Again, another band that you speak to any band that's come since, and they'll be like Arctic Monkeys do, just reference the Strokes all the time and just influence so many people. So yeah, good pick. I feel like all of them are sort of crossing each other out at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a close one. I'm going to go a little bit roguer. I think we've gone a bit safe here.
Yeah.
They're top bands, but we need a little bit of edge to the team. So I'm going to go for the Streets.
Wow. Interesting.
Just adds a little bit of sort of grit to the team, a little bit of bite, someone who's going to go and win your tackles for you. And also, just in their own right, fucking unbelievable band.
Yeah.
Like, some of the
Glad
top
Chances
songs
himself.
have been released. It was an emphasis. I'm
Good.
going for the Streets.
Okay, Streets are good. I'm going to go for another little bit of grit, but from the other side of the pond. So I'm going to go for a bit of grit, but in an American sense. And I'll go with Sum 41.
Ooh, okay,
And I think
interesting.
they shaped a lot of the pop punk scene, and they shaped a lot of that genre. And I think that's something that that a lot of people now are drawing on.
I'd argue Sum 41 are on the cringier side of pop punk. That's my only criticism.
I
Maybe
think
that's personal taste.
I think that might be personal taste because I think their iconic nature in like late 90s, early 2001, like dead early 2000s was just had to be there.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. I'm going to add in a bit of youth, a bit of a newer music again of what we've been talking to, just to bring a bit of a range. Kind of all your players being that old.
No.
So I'm going to put Sam Fender in there because I just think in the modern day, there's no one better than that. He's just come off his St James's Park gig, sold out his hometown fucking stadium, unbelievable. Multiple great albums now. He's on the way to be an absolute icon, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm gonna bring a little bit of a soft vibe to the whole team.
Ooh,
I'm gonna bring the tone down a touch.
Christ.
I'm gonna pop Sigrid in.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting.
Much more alt pop, but I feel like she has to be in there. I think that element really brings the team back down and levels the head of these real crazy punky vibes that we've thrown in the mix.
Okay, I like it. It's a dressing room pick.
Yeah, it's for the mentality.
Like it. There's a couple I could chuck in last, but
Question?
yeah.
How many are we on?
This is the last one, I think.
Last pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I am going to go for an absolute classic to round it off, and that is Stereophonics.
Wow.
I just think, again,
Very
what
good.
an outrageously good band with a whole discography of unbelievable songs. Iconic band, so well known, really good addition to the team. I think it just rounds it off nicely.
Very, very, very good pick. I think one of the band that I'm going to pick next are going to add to the ruckus that I'm building here. And I'm going to pick Soft Play.
Oh, it's a loophole.
Also known as Slave.
Yeah, which is
F.
fine. Not a loophole. It's fine.
So
yeah, that's a good
Soft Play. And I think the fact that I have Sex Pistols, Soft Play, Sum 41, The Stroke.
There's some red cards coming your way.
There's a lot of red cards. There's a lot of fights, but I think it is that League One team that somehow found their way into the Premiership, and they're just going to be kicking shins, and it's going to work for them. I'd argue it's a Leicester.
Yeah, you can be kicking shins. We'll be winning a treble for the actual better bands. I like it. We'll see. But
See,
is that it? Is that where we're at?
that's 5. I think that's where we're at.
I am absolutely amazed neither of you said shame.
Oh, shame.
Oh, they so would have fit my line up so well.
How do we not?
How do we know?
Literally talking about so much. Shit. Why did they not come up? I was searching S on Spotify for everything and scrolled right down and they didn't come up.
Fuck.
Shame. Damn. They can manage my team.
Can you manage my team?
Well, now once you got your mic unmuted, Trippy, what do you think? Who do you think's got a better side there? Do you want us to list them out again?
No, I've taken some notes.
Oh, wow.
I think for the overall package, if this was a lineup, I would rather see Joe's lineup.
Very fair. Very
Do
fair.
you agree, Chris? He concurs. Thank you, sir. Great game.
Still
Enjoyed that.
very, very strong still.
Yeah, very strong. Again, with second picks, it is hard. You did well to get the Strokes in there because I would have had them in
Yeah.
ahead of.
I think I did
couple
quite
of
well
mine,
to get
but-
Strokes and Sex Pistols in there.
Yeah,
on
you
your
did.
list.
Both on my list. Both ready to go. And to be fair, then struggled after that. I did have Scout for Girls. Would you have allowed that?
I would have allowed Strokes for Girls for sure.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's iconic. I had a few extras that were in the mix. I had Stiff Little Fingers,
Nice.
great band.
Yeah,
Sports Team,
Sports Team's a good one. Yeah,
Glad I had Sleaford Mods.
Sleaford Mods. I did Snuts, Sherlock, Supergrass.
If you'd have said the Snuts,
I know.
reached over this table and punched you.
That's true. Snuts would have been a good pick, but you'd have just been like, wow.
I would have reached over and fucking punched you square.
You genuinely wouldn't have done that.
No, I would have kissed you.
Yeah. How did you get? Nice, good. 1-1.
1-1 in the series. In the World Series of Major League Baseball. What? Chris just cast the spell?
Oh, got to be another camera on you for that.
Chris is throwing gang signs in the corner.
Really good. Do you know what it's time for?
It is time for Artist of the Week.
You were correct this time, rather than saying Artist of the Week for Dram.
No,
What was your Artist of the Week? This I did last week.
You did. I've gone for a post-punk vibe, a vid that I'm coming through at the moment, and it is a artist called Public Body. And I think they obviously draw a lot from your feety style mod stuff, but also when it comes to actual punk as well, there's definitely an element of idols in there, and definitely an element of like Shame, and the lyricism in it are very similar. And they've just released their new album, which is very good.
It's really good,
really, really good. It's quite full back to front, and I think the vibe is consistent throughout. I think it's a very good feature piece, where it just kind of runs really nicely as a whole project. So yeah, I'm very impressed with them. I'm looking forward to seeing how they cook up some more.
It'd be good to see them live. I'd like to see them live.
I'd love to see them live.
They're good.
Yeah, see the vibe and see how they sort of like orchestrate the crowd.
Yeah.
Because we've seen some bands that are in that ilk of a bit like Le Objectif, that they just can get in a room and just really throw the crowd about. And I think seeing another band with that essence would be quite good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Public Body are my Artist of the Week. To shout out, and go check them out. They've got a new album out, and see what you feel. Let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think. Definitely give it a listen. It's worth listening to. As I said, if it's what it is, that genre, like it sounds really good recorded. So if it sounds even better live, then like they're onto something.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're really decent.
100%. Well, Joe, pleasure as always.
Elliott, thank you, mate. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Trips, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Chris,
give us a wave.
Mate. Give us a wave. Chris, give us a wave. Right, well, thank you very much for listening. Make sure you go and check us out on, well, wherever. TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, everything. Yeah.
Facebook.
No. I mean, we probably can be posting our reels on Facebook now, actually.
Good do.
Just press the old button. Check us out on whatever you want, mate. Lovely to see you. Thank you very much for coming, and we'll see you all on the other side.
Peace.
You're in my stick. Push!